Good evening, Free Enterprise. Welcome to our Monday night race featuring Pixel Tamer, Poydrak, Antidale, and Dragus. I am Valvalis Skunk, and tonight I am joined by Rex Raoul. How are you?
I'm doing well tonight. How are you?
I am doing pretty well myself. So tonight's race is I really hope you like.
Yeah, you better be a Cid fan if you're going to be here tonight, because we've got all Cids all the time. Whether or not you name other people like Poydrak has here, you're just going to end up with Cids.
Well, at least the early game will be free.
Yeah, Cid is a great starting character for a lot of the early things, because he's got a lot of HP to start with. He's got decent damage to start with. The problem is when you transition to that mid to late game, he just doesn't have the oomph that like a Cecil or Kane does with the physical attackers or the magic users do. He's got a... Luckily we've got T4, so there's going to be lots of good stuff and treasures. We're going to be looking for rune axes, ogre axes, Artemis bows, all sorts of stuff like that to try to make him a little bit more potent.
And we are off. So I wonder what our second... Oh, wait, it's Cid. So just a couple other little things. Of course, we have the S3 flag on, which going to get some more unique and powerful items in shops. We have the no apples and soma drops in shops. And we have the no free lunch for no free key items, but free characters are on.
Yeah, you can pick up all your Cids whenever you like.
You can literally have 5 Cids before you go take on Antlion, so have fun. And the last interesting flag we have on, because I don't know about you, I would not want to face a Wyvern opening Mega Nuke with a party of Cids. It just, in most spots, that just sounds really painful.
Yeah, we do have the Witchburn flag, so we're avoiding the Mega Nuke. Not sure what we will get, though.
I'm going to root for a retreat. That is always hilarious.
Yeah, that is a good one.
And it looks like most of our runners are starting off in Baron. I saw Stardust in the Baron item shop, and Boris. Both good items for that early game. Poydrak decided to go to Mist.
Yeah, might be trying to avoid Baron until he feels like he's ready to do the Baron in sequence.
Also, there was a Bacchus wine in Rosa's house. That's actually a nice item to find right away.
We see Poydrak buying lit arrows. When you get into that mid game, you're going to want to exploit as many weaknesses as you can on the bosses, so that makes up for Cid's kind of lackluster damage. Buying elemental arrows like the lit arrows can be just the key against certain bosses.
Another thing is Cid's equipment pool isn't the greatest. While he can equip some of the best armor, such as the Dragoon armor, he doesn't have access to any of the swords. He can't equip daggers, from what I recall. So you're limited to hammers, axes, and bows.
Yeah, luckily there's some good options within there, but it is limiting. It's not like Cecil, who has basically everything that Cid can equip except for the hammers, and all the swords as well.
And we see that Pixel Tamer decided to go into that watery pass, pick up a Cid and a couple little treasure chests. Looks like gonna head over to Kaipo next. Antidale and Dragus are both in Damcian.
Yeah, Dragus finding a moon veil in the basement of Damcian. Very useful item against physical bosses, since it adds that barrier status to make you immune to physical attacks. It also applies the wall status, so it works as a star veil as well, but moon veils are so much more precious.
I also believe a moon veil's reflect has a power of 20, whereas a star veil is 10.
Oh, now you're getting into stuff that I'm not sure about, but I believe it.
I've been spending too much time around a lot of different community members picking up new information. I think my brain is overloaded.
Oh, well, I mean, if there's anything that this community is good at, it's diving deep into this game and finding all the little nuances. It's amazing how much of this game has been brought to light through Free Enterprise.
This is very, very true. Also to note, Poydrak is picking up that hovercraft and another Cid. And
Yeah, I think picking up those Cids while you're in the neighborhood makes sense.
It certainly does. Go ahead and get them. Get their experience going early. Leave one of those ones that you can get quickly for later so you can just have a really good agility anchor, and you'll be good to go. I did notice Invenerable posting in our chat that the Moonveil's wall length should be about 2 times the length of Starveil. So 10 and 20 sounds about right.
We also saw Poydrak tipping into the check the boss in the watery pass, seeing if our friend the Mist Dragon is laying there, but no, it was a Karate Man, and so we just reset out. Now we see all 4 of our runners in the Antlion Cave. Not a surprise. Lots and lots of treasures here, and on that T4 flag, you want to get a bunch of treasures early to suit up your Cids and find a lot of money to sell for all these powerful J items that you can get with the S3 flag out.
Very, very true. And you also probably want to try to find one or 2 adamants, especially a Pinktail. Ooh, that is Odin.
To answer the question, Nelson Ha, has adamant been found this early? Yes, it was actually the first item given right at the start of the game. So we've got the adamant. We are on V1, so we do need the adamant. We do need the legend sword. We need a way underground, and we need a way to Xeramus. So we've got 1/4 of that fulfilled already.
Now you just gotta search just about everywhere else to find the remaining ones. I believe this is KQM. Yes,
Yes.
could be in the summon quests or on the moon bosses, plus the normal key item spots, excluding Bedward.
Right.
But Odin in Antlion, just guarding a glass helm, nice for some defense, especially early on, has pretty decent use against physical bosses, but certainly not something you're looking for.
Another important thing found in Antlion Cave was a pack of Artemis arrows, the most powerful arrows in the game. And since, I think if you're going to make your perfect Cid in this flag set, I think Artemis bow and arrows is going to be your best set. So that's a very nice thing to get.
Very, very true. The Artemis bow and arrows is going to be really, really nice. You're probably also going to want to look for a Zeus gauntlet, and I would also venture to say you probably want to find a ninja hat.
Bandana would be nice too, but yeah, ninja hat I think would be the most ideal. At least one of them.
Very, very true. I mean, there's lots of things you could get that would be really nice. Crystal rings, cursed rings, rune axes. Cid's got, okay equipment, so he's going to be able to get through the seed.
Yeah, and he's got a great HP growth, so surviving Big Bangs isn't going to be a problem. You are going to want to find those Cure 3s to get through the long fight at Xeramus, but he's a good chemist in that respect because he can take a hit and heal up without too much of a problem after that.
So I'm not quite sure where Anti-Dale is, but Starveils, Moonveils, and Illusions. I think this is Silvera? Yeah.
Yeah, that is a nice shot.
And I think Pixel Tamer is in Fabul, and Dragus is leaving Troya, getting blocked by, I'm gonna call it Troyamus, because it's not Kuiper.
Right. One thing that is kind of nice about an all Cid seed is it's really easy to know what equipment to sell, because there's so much stuff that he just can't equip. So if you find a Mazamune, you don't need to wonder if I find an edge, it's going to be great, so do I keep it or do I sell it for all the money? You can just sell everything here.
I mean, you can sell all of the ninja swords, all your crystal swords, Excaliburs, lances, anything that's belonging to a mage, and as painful as it is, all your Bahamut, Leviathan, and Sylph summons.
Oh yeah. But I mean, that's also good. I mean, with the S3, we see Moonveils in shops, which a lot of the more competitive environments that we've seen recently have been S2, and you never see Moonveils in shops at those, and so being able to buy them is really nice.
looks like we have 3 runners taking on this fight in the bull, which is just Mylon and friends. And we got an oh my body on Anti-Dale's side. That Mylon is...
Yeah, when Mylon worries about his body, that's a good thing. This is a very easy fight for this party. For other parties that we've got that you could see, if it was not a Cid only seed, this could be a dangerous fight at this point. But with this party, with the hit points that they've got, no problem at all.
I do want to point out, Pixel Tamer went into the equipment shop in Fabul, found Earth Hammers and Dragoon helmets. Both really good pieces of gear. And there's the Legend Sword at Fabul.
Wow. But we're still not in go mode.
We're not in go mode. We still need to get underground, which could be it, which we could still have an interesting hook route with all Cids. And we still need to find a way to the moon. At this point in time, you are hoping for a path.
Oh, absolutely. I think that was a crystal ring in one of the treasure chests in the bowl as well.
Crystal ring is very, very nice. That's going to give you a really nice stat boost, and it is the best ring in the game to it.
And it doesn't look like anybody's opting to skip Fabul at this point. Sometimes runners will try to double up on Fabul and wait until after they do the underground check on Yang to try to do Fabul all in one go. But in this case, it would have been unfortunate if somebody missed out on the Legend Sword because of it. But it looks like all of our featured runners are making the play to get that Legend Sword, so that's great.
It makes a lot of sense to go ahead and come to Fabul early. You already have one piece of go mode in that Adamant. Let's go ahead and knock out an easy check, get it out of the way, and then move on to some of the more complicated checks or longer ones. But all of our runners finishing up this Mylon and friends all will have their components for the crystal. We've still got quite a bit to check to find that pass or darkness crystal.
And we still need to find a magma key or a hook as well.
This is very, very true. And right now it looks like our runners are going to do some shopping %. So let's take a moment to thank the rest of the Restream team here with us tonight. Invenerable jumping on the Restream, doing a great job as always. And Gambit helping out with tracking. Always a pleasure working with both.
Yeah, without the restreamer and the tracker, we can't do what we do, and I think that makes it a better viewing experience for all. So thank you very much. Also, don't forget to give our 4 runners a follow tonight. These are all great racers, playing in a really weird sort of flag set with all Cids.
So, who came up with this flag set? If anyone knows. Okay, so on Friday, let's all vote and have Natara be restreamed to enjoy this lovely Cid % that she has chosen to have everyone run.
Yeah, but let's not give her both pieces of the crystal right away.
We'll see. But anyways, runners, looks like they're gonna quickly wrap up their shopping. Like I said, you're gonna be absolutely rich in this seed. Most of the stuff you're gonna find, you're just gonna sell.
And with T4, you're gonna find really good stuff to sell as well. It looks like Dragus is going to be the first to climb Mount Ordeals.
That's not a bad idea, because you do get a character here. Granted, there's so many characters for you to choose from, but it will fill out your party very quickly, very easily. It's probably going to be your longest check on the surface, so let's go ahead and knock it out of the way, get the check done, because it is just an item check. You will not find a Cecil, you will not power up a Fu, you will not have a Tella.
Yeah, there's no added motivation to this check. It's just a check. And so we see Annadale doing kind of the other check that we've got open right now, and that's the Baron Inn. Also is going to reward with a character. Looks like we see the Dark Knight Cecil, the second one. This is one of those fights where you're happy that Cid has a high HP growth, since tanking the 3 hits is not going to be tough.
And you definitely are happy to see this Dark Knight Cecil early. He can be an absolute terror in the right spot. Also, just to point out, just to make runners feel just a little bit worse, Fusoyo Challenge is turned on.
Yeah, well, we'll see when that comes into play. Dragus hitting getting the low roll of the dice, I guess. Finding in the long check, the long fight, and we have the Volkov.
That's you're glad to see it early, especially with a party that's going to be able to get through it relatively quickly. Cid does pretty decent damage throughout most of the early and mid game.
Yeah, this is like one of these things where if you'd stocked up on your like Stardust or Zeus Rages or something, you could get through this a lot faster. Looks like it is going to be required though, because Annadale had completed the Baron Inn and just got the spoon as a reward. So looks like the only check that we currently have available is this Ordeals check, unless you want to go D-Mist Hunt.
And when you see that for Bull Gauntlet, you're just not going to be too amused by it. But Dragus making pretty quick work.
Yeah, and if this leads to like a Magma Key or a hook, then if he decides to forego the Baron Inn for now, he could take a big lead, because we know that Baron Inn does not lead to anything useful. So it's just going to be dependent on what Dragus decides to do after this, assuming that a D-Mist Hunt is not required, and this does lead to the Underground.
Luckily for a D-Mist Hunt required, if this doesn't really lead to anything, we already know one spot is Karate at the underwater.
Yep.
The words are hard. And so we have just vanilla D-Mist, as far as I have seen, and Zot. And you really don't want to have to climb up Zot.
No, that would be ugly.
It's had to have been done before, though.
Oh yeah. I know that I've experienced it. I think most people have. Or if you're running races as much as our featured races have, they've all faced it before too.
And they've also faced some very fun experiences in races as well. All our others are very, very talented and always a pleasure to watch.
One thing that we see on Pixel Tamer's screen is...
we had a Wyvern spotting, by the way, in Vanilla D-Mist. Wyvern is off the
one thing we saw briefly on Pixel Tamer's screen was equipping and unequipping of the bow and arrow. This enables what we kind of call the back row glitch, which means if you're in a menu and you equip a back row weapon onto Cid or any character really, and then unequip it, the game doesn't think that you unequipped it, so you can get all the advantages of fighting from the back row even with a non-back row weapon.
This is very, very true. Making good use of that back row glitch. Get as many of your Cids into that back row so they can do what their hearts were meant to do, and that is to tank.
Dragus taking some extra precautions against Rubicon here, firing off some moonbands.
Ruby at this spot, it's not the worst, but does have some notice, which will cast Ice 1, so not awful, but the one thing is Ruby counterattacks your regular physical fight commands with fire. But Ruby is going down, and now we have Pixel Tamer going up Hobbs. And Poijack is now making his way over to that Ordeals as well.
Okay, I think I missaw a sprite before. It was actually, I believe it was Baigan in the old waterway, because that was definitely Yang at the top of Mount Hobbs.
Ah, good catch, good catch.
Now, as people are forced to go to Mount Ordeals, it seems. We'll see the item from Dragus. We could have a hook seed. Let's hope for it. At least that's what I'm hoping for.
And your wish will be granted.
I mean, there still is the chance of the Tower of Zot demist, but barring that, we have a hook seed.
I mean, once you have hook, you've completed all your standard overworld checks. Are you really going to run up Zot to look for demist?
That depends. If I go into Evelyn and I see that the boss in the Rubicon spot is Kainazo, absolutely, I will do that.
Well, if it is Golbez, Val, Wyvern, I believe those three, even if they're just on the hook route, will not block you to your underground. So that would mean that the demons would have to be in Zot. I learned that recently in a very, very painful raid.
We'll see if Dragus... My guess is, since it was a hook and not a magma, Dragus will go to the Baron and check the item there, but we'll see.
More than likely going to go get that check. It's going to be pretty quick. Your Cids are going to do enough damage to get through whatever's there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a scary fight in general at all. I mean, there's definitely battles there that could be dangerous. We know that it's not going to be too tough for him. It's frankly a relief to see the Lunar D's in the first spot there. Very easy spot for what are sometimes extremely difficult bosses. And we know that second fight, the Dark Knight Cecil, is just something that Cid is more able to tank than a lot of other characters.
This is very, very true. That D Lunars, they can do some really nasty things if you're relying on physical damage. But the first spot in Baron Inn, that's 400 HP split between two enemies. But we have Antidale on that Ruby fight. Pixel and Poidrak both taking care of their respective gauntlet. And I see conversation in chat about Kainatsu versus Ogopogo for Cid. I would be on the boat of Ogopogo is more scary for Cid than Kainatsu, except for in one circumstance, and that would be the element spot.
Yeah, it also depends on whether or not you've got things like cursed rings and stuff to help manipulate your agility a bit more.
That's another thing we didn't really touch on with Cid. Cid, while he does have a lot of HP, Cid is very slow. You're just not going to get much agility with him. You're going to want to rely on ninja hats and crystal rings, and if you find it, adamant armors to get that speed up on a couple of your Cids. And if you can find a cursed ring, even better, throw that on your middle Cid when it's time to have an agility anchor, and it'll help the rest of your Cids. Trust me, Cid is very, very painful with his speed sometimes.
Dwarf Axe can work in a pinch too.
Dwarf Axe is another good choice. So Dragus now has full cleared the overworld, except for checking Zot, as far as I know, and the Vanilla Demus. Probably going to go pick up that hovercraft and go straight underground. And Antidale hot on his heels getting his hook. And then Pixel and Poidrak not too far behind, shouldn't have too much trouble with this Ruby fight. And speaking of which, it looks like Poidrak's Ruby is dead.
It is kind of satisfying, Rubicon being a boss that tells you, I lost now. I love that.
I sometimes forget that he has that text. But Ruby is always an interesting fight. At least in vanilla, he's the only boss I know of that's kind enough to like full heal your party just before you fight him. Twice.
Yeah, I love the elements fight in the vanilla game because Rubicon is the boss. It's like, you know what? I'm going to use your strategy against you. You have a bunch of friends. Well, I got some pals too.
And then they fight you one at a time.
Yeah, well, those would be some huge sprites.
Don't think we mentioned it, but Mylon Z is in the crystal room. Dragus is making an interesting play going into Eblon Castle, maybe looking to just grab some extra experience quickly, get a couple of better pieces of equipment for Cid. I guess look for, samurai bows, Artemis bows, and a rune axe or two.
Yeah, it's tough. Hopefully, Dragus doesn't think that this is KQMT, but I mean, the other thing is just doing, if you want more experience, the trap chests in Evelyn Castle are a good source of that before going down a hook route.
This is true. They do give pretty good experience, and you have the Stillman chest in Eblon Cave, and then Upper Babel will have the 4 Mad Ogres. So you can get pretty solid experience early for your party, just to make sure you can get through that ruby spot, which we still don't quite know what's there.
I will also note, Annadale did find a Zeus Gauntlet in Evelyn Cave, so that is a very good piece of strength boosting equipment for Cid.
Yes, that boosts his strength by 10, and every point of strength you can get into Cid is really, really nice. Well, Hook is free. Depending on what's in the King-Queen spot, that spot can be fun sometimes.
Yeah, there are some nasty bosses that could be in the King's Queen spot. But seeing King Queen in Ruby's spot, yeah, that's an absolutely free fight. No problems here.
You're just absolutely ecstatic to see that King Queen Eblon there. Because once again, we're harping a little bit on the Cid. Cid is a good early game character. This is no longer early game when you're going into the Ruby spot. This is kind of getting close to the end game. And Cid is just... he's got a lot of hit points.
Yeah. He's got a lot of hit points. If you've got the right equipment against the right enemies, and like you could exploit weaknesses with a lot of his equipment. But beyond that, he doesn't have a lot of like just base usefulness. That's not to say he's completely useless. There are definitely uses for Cid throughout the game, but 5 Cids poses a unique challenge.
The one nice thing, though, is we get to show off a bunch of the beautiful sprites done by the wonderful Scala Kitty for the free enterprise. That was a wonderful pickup by Antidel. He just found an adamant armor.
Yeah, when you're in this T4 environment, that is finding the fabled lost city of El Dorado. That is the adamant armor, the best piece of equipment in the game.
I know a lot of runners recently got to re-experience the joy of adamant armor, and I am one of them. I really love the adamant armor.
Yeah, it definitely turns the game into easy mode.
Especially when you have a character, with going to be just in general lower stats. The adamant armor gives you plus 15, I believe it's plus 15 to strength, vitality, and agility. And I can't remember if wisdom and will are 10 or 15. But those two stats are completely unimportant for your Cid for the most part. But you still get a lot of defense, a huge boost to your stats. You're just going to feel really great with that adamant armor.
our restreamer, Venerable, saying adamant armor is better than Erdrick's armor. I've got to agree. I mean, Erdrick's armor is great, but adamant armor also makes you hit harder. Like,
my Dragon Warrior knowledge is very, very limited, so I will take y'all's word for it. I play Dragon Warrior 2.
That's a good game. Erdrick's armor in the first one is better than the second, but what have you.
I just
looks like
Go on.
It looks like Pixel Saber is also taking that route that Dragist is going into Castle Evelyn to treasure hunt and probably get some experience before diving down the hook route.
And Antidale just found a wonderful piece of gear for money, the crystal armor.
Yeah, even if I have Cecil, I like to sell the crystal.
I have one niche case where I keep that crystal armor, and that's if I have a good sword for Cecil that I can use in combination with the Avenger, and then you have a good piece of gear, especially when adamant armors just stopped existing.
Yeah, but I mean, a Dragoon armor does almost as good. And you can still use an Avenger with that, too.
Oh, this is very true.
And I like money. Alright, now we get to see the first fight here. We have Leviathan, and I don't think that's going to be too difficult for Annadale here.
No, the Leviathan, not the most scary. Gonna open up with taking off a quarter of your max HP. You know, Cid does have high HP. There was a Bacchus on the Cid. I'm guessing that Cid has the adamant armor, and this Leviathan's not long for this world.
Yeah, basically, after that initial barrage of the wall, they'll throw Ice 2s, and in the King Queen Evelyn spot, the ice or the magic attack is not very strong, so it's not going to be all that difficult. Now, if it was more of a physical attack, you know, then that could be a lot more dangerous because King Queen Evelyn has a very high physical attack stat, but the magic stat is very low.
Yes, the magic stat here is very, very low. Poydrak really hot on Antidale's heels for this Leviathan fight. And Antidale going into the King Queen, you're literally just going to wait for them to do 3 attacks and then they kill themselves for you.
Yeah, it's one where in a lot of cases I'd recommend going back and saving after completing the fight in the King Queen Evelyn spot. But knowing that this free fight is right behind it, just dive right in. You're not going to die to this fight.
No, the King Queen Evelyn is very, very rarely a threat.
I think the only way to lose is if, like, you queue up 5 kamikazes at the beginning of the fight.
I'll take your word for it.
Annadale's King and Queen Evelyn have become conscious, so now they're just going to disappear, and Annadale's going to be the first of our runners to enter the underworld.
And Dragus now making his way through that Eblon cave, looking for that trap chest, wants to get that extra bit of experience. And Poydrak now getting onto his King Queen Eblon, and Antidale is through with his sit and wait fight.
Yeah, at this point, you know, we see Annadale has a slight lead getting into the underworld, but this is definitely still anybody's race at this point. It's right now, basically, it's a race to find a way to Zeramis, because there's no problem getting underground, so we can get to Kokol's hut, we can forge that crystal, no sweat. But you've got to guess, there's a lot of different places in the underworld that hold key items, and one of them is going to find either the pass or the way to the moon. Unless, what's our pass key flag tonight? I should have double checked that. PK.
Our pass, it is a key item. I haven't been able to keep up with every single shop that our runners have gone to. Has anyone found sirens?
That's an interesting thing too. We do have to Cid will require some grinding before heading up to Zeromus. He's not like Edward, who can defeat Zeromus at level 5.
That's a very special strat that you really need to know how to do. We're not going to discuss that strat here because I don't know everything about it. I know there's some wonderful guides out there for it. Try to look for them. Ask around in the Discord. I'm pretty sure there's a particular lovely runner that'll be more than happy to demonstrate it for you. But with Cid, you know, he won't need to grind quite as high as some other characters simply because his HP pool is just really good in general. You just want to find some pretty decent weapons for him. Have your Cure 3s. Have one probably set as your agility anchor just to make your life a little bit easier, and plenty of Bacchus, and let them go.
Yeah, and if you're like Annadale and found that adamant armor, we probably want to berserk out the Cid that has that adamant armor.
Yeah, that's going to be your strong. Ooh, Zeus gauntlets for Cell and Tomra.
And we saw our employment dwarf was a nuclear technician. So
that dwarf has some incredible credentials.
Yeah, he's got more jobs than Dick Van Dyke and Mary Poppins.
I'm not quite sure how to respond to that one because that's a good movie.
So Embedder was saying there's also Artemis arrows in Tomra. So if you want equipment, Tomra is the place.
Ooh, Artemis arrows are, like you said, the strongest arrow. And if you can find, you know, 1 or 2 Artemis bows or even just a couple samurai bows, that's going to be really nice. Our rat tail chest was not worthwhile.
Well, if it was that easy, this would be not as fun as Steed. So I'm glad.
I'm a little glad too, but I mean, we get a hook route with Leviathan and King Queen Evelyn. And Poydrak is going to be the first one of our runners to forge his crystal. Hopefully he remembers to pick it up.
Poydrak also finding a strength ring in Kokel's hut. Not quite Zeus gauntlet good, but definitely a good one. Ooh, samurai ogre axes, samurai bows, good stuff there too.
If Poydrak checks that equipment shop in Tomra, he's going to want to come back for those samurai bows unless he can find some, ooh, that's a rune axe on Antidale's side.
Rune axe is an interesting weapon. Generally, like, for most of your, like, uses, the ogre axe, even though it has a lower attack power, due to its superior hit percentage, it's going to end up doing more damage. But the rune axe also hits that mage type enemy for 4 times damage. And we haven't seen Ashura yet. We haven't seen the Magus Sisters yet. These are some pretty important mage type enemies.
But Feymarch is not the mage enemies you're looking for. We have Kainatsu at Asura, and that is the Nope Noodle at Leviathan. Leviathan got a giant upgrade today.
These are kind of nasty bosses down here in the Land of Summon Monsters.
These are pretty nasty. Ogopogo is going to hit hard. He's going to hit fast. And he's going to start off by wiping out half of your maximum HP. You can't do anything about it. You just lose half your maximum HP on your entire party. Kainatsu is just rude. Not the rudest spot for him, but I don't think you quite have enough HP to survive that first big wave.
Yeah, that speed that's going to be there at that Leviathan location is going to be scary as well.
Yeah, both the Asura and Leviathan spots are very fast and can be very dangerous. So, with a party of... Go on?
Getting the timing right. If you've got a pile of Thor Rages to try to scare him away when he's gathering the water, getting the timing right is going to be difficult. There's getting it right in lots of different places is, I think, one of the more difficult aspects of the Kanazo fight.
This is very, very true. Pyrolite being amazing and pointing out that sirens were in Feymarch. So we have our grind covered. We have the Dark Elf and Dwarf Castle, and we have two runners just about to make it into their underground. Dragus taking on the King Queen Eblon, Pixel Tamer on that Leviathan, and it looks like Poydrak is heading back to the surface.
Yeah, I think he's checking Sheila 1 here.
I actually really like this play from Poydrak, simply because it's going to be one of your faster general checks, kinda. But the only way it would be nicer is if you had the pan, but you only need the pass or the darkness crystal. Check Sheila, you're back on the surface. You go straight back to the go straight to your Z fight or do your quick grind. Good to go. But there's still a lot of checks open, so just depends. Does Sheila have some really nice goods for us today?
And if Sheila 1 gives a quest item, are we going to follow down that rabbit hole or try something else that's already available in the underground?
That's the call. Rat Tail you're going to chase, though.
Yeah, especially since Poydrak already switched to the yellow airship, the Enterprise, and moved the hovercraft right next to the Adamic Grotto. Like, it's almost like Poydrak knew that was going to be there. I mean, he didn't, but it kind of looks that way. But I mean, I'm a big advocate of switching back to the yellow airship as quickly as possible after a hook route.
I like what Poydrak did. He immediately switched to the Enterprise and then grabbed that hovercraft and set it right here. It's some just small little optimizations, and that's a package. You know you're getting a Cid. Do you want to check that for demist? I don't think so. Not at this point. There's too much
that is.
it.
If that ends up being there, if Poydrak goes there now, that would be like the ultimate Galaxy Brain play. It's almost a universe brain.
I'd be down for it. Our second fight in Dwarf Castle is Octomam. I turned away and missed it. Antidale having those Artemis arrows just obliterated the octopus. And it looks like all four of our runners now have their underground access. So Dragus immediately going to go forge that crystal. One thing I did get to see on Dragus' side, though, was he was having his Cids attack the King Queen Eblon. Now, if you can kill them fast enough to where they not going to get their 3 cast off, that is going to be a little bit faster. But if it's going to take you longer to kill them than it will for them to get 3 cast off, just sit there and tank it.
Yeah, you're saving the time for those animations without a doubt. But yeah, you just might be in the habit of doing it anyways.
And did someone find Harp?
I think that might have been from Dwarf Castle.
Meanwhile, we have Antidale going up tower. Keyless tower, by the way. But once again, we're looking for one item. We need either that darkness crystal or the pass. And then you just start grinding. At this point in time, the chances of you hitting 10 key items is not that high.
I mean, I guess it depends on how many key items you're going to need in order to find that item. But you're probably right.
I mean, I've seen some very interesting rabbit holes happen. And question in chat, if you get to 9 items, do you go grab the 10th? And it kind of depends. There's a lot of factors that go into that. if say you're at 9 key items, you got one check and you know it's going to be darkness, well, yeah, you're going to go grab it. But if you have 9 key items and you have the entire moon to go check, you might check the ribbon spot, the D lunar spot, because that's 2 quick checks and pretty good experience. But more than likely, it's going to base on the circumstances.
And I think it's going to be a lot more difficult to justify it with this party, because I think the preferred grind is going to be eggs rather than King Ryu's. I mean, I guess that depends on if people are finding a lot of like arty bows, but...
Well, we do have those arty arrows, which will do the bonus damage to the dragons, whereas the bows do not.
Yeah, well then maybe if people buy those and are using them, we know that Annadale is using them. If others are using them as well, then that might be the better choice. And then in that case, dipping into that D lunar spot for the check the ribbon chest might make some sense.
Also, just to point out, we have the Calbrinadals at the top of tower. I generally don't like dealing with the Calbrinas when you have a physical party, just because they're just annoying. You still can hourglass the back ones. That is a Luca key, but it just feels like it takes forever to kill them. And as Invenerable's pointing out in chat, you know, there's so many variables, but if you have base K for key items and not KQM, oh yeah, you're gonna go grab that 10th key item because you're gonna know where it's at. So, Poydrak, I think he's wrapping up the Dwarf Castle. Dragus is leaving the Fey March. Probably didn't want to tangle with that Lunar Sparkle and Kainatsu. I don't blame him there. Pixel Tamer picking up that White Spear. And I'm guessing Antidale is probably going to dive that Luca key.
I think if you've gone and checked the Keyless Tower as Antidale did, it makes sense to follow it up with checking that sealed cave.
And the nice thing you can do for Sealed Cave is you can go down there, set a save outside of it, check it. If it's nothing, check the boss just in case it is demissed. We know what happens if you forget to do that. And if it's not demissed, not a key item, or, you know, it's a sand ruby, you just reset out and continue on your checks.
Yeah, without a doubt. That's like, I mean, one of the things about optimization is using where you're saving the game and resetting back to your advantage. Like the situation that you just described outside the sealed cave is kind of like the most obvious one, but you can see, especially among some of the top runners, utilizing it in other places throughout the game too. Going to the moon is sometimes one where you want to save before you go there too. But yeah, these optimizations that you can make with saving the game is important. Well, look where Poydrak's heading.
It looks like we're going to get some music hype in here. So, Hero of the People, Poydrak, let's see what our harp song's going to be. Also, going on to that optimization, I actually got to see a really interesting one done by our restreamer Invenerable in Highway to the Zima Zone, and that was when you have the big well, getting the chocobo, the black chocobo at Baron if you have like a couple of those checks, just to save a little bit of time, a little bit of swag as well.
Yeah, you might not realize that there's a point of the game where you'll get those black chocobos populated in the smaller forests.
They will be populated when you have summoned the big well.
Right.
All right, so we have our divergence. Antidale is going down into the sealed cave. Poydrak is being the hero of the people, giving us music. And we still have that Lunar Sparkle, or the Ogopogo at Leviathan, and Kainatsu at Asura. But I'm going to be quiet for just a minute. I think there's something you'd like to say.
Yeah, it's time for DJ Spoony B's Rockin' Tunes. little Final Fantasy 1 action here.
I know we have a lot of community members that run both the randomizer and the vanilla of Final Fantasy 1. Pretty good choice.
It was the first Final Fantasy game that I played.
Mine as well. Oh, well, shouldn't be too bad, but CPU as Cid is not fun.
Yeah, luckily with all the bows, everybody's going to be back row glitch. They can do full damage to the CPU itself. But yeah, this is the place where you need to do physical damage. This spot has a very high magic defense and not an absurdly high physical defense. So it shouldn't take too long for all these Cids to power through this.
I didn't see what Anti-Dale got from Sealed Cave, but he is fighting these Dark Imps. Thankfully, Hourglass them, they're not going to be a threat. Thank you, Gambit. Poidrak is through that CPU fight. Again, not the funnest fight with Cid, but this spot's not too bad.
This is going to be an interesting choice for Anadale now, whether or not to continue down this rabbit hole.
Well, we have more rabbit holes in the pan. So we have Rabbit Hole the Seed plus Feymarch.
Yeah, those Feymarches are still pretty... They're looming large right there. Looks like Pixeltamer is following Anadale's route of going up to Keyless Tower.
So Pixeltamer will have no trouble with the dolls and get his Luca key. Dragus now picking up his Twin Heart. And Poidrak is going to go check that pan.
Yeah, that makes sense. This is good. This is basically no fights for 2 key item checks because the Sylphs will have a potential key item, and then you can return the pan to Sheila for the Sheila 2 potential key items.
This is very true. Poidrak did pick up that first Sheila item, so we'll only get the turn in for the pan and for beating Yang on the head. With all the love of his wife. And as our restreamer is saying, he hopes that neither of these chains pay off. I would love to see the runner's strategies for dealing with that Ogopogo at Leviathan. Not the most difficult fight, but one that will challenge you.
Well, we've got a tower key for Poidrak. Let's see if he... I'm guessing he'll go check Sheila 2 first, but he might go up that tower before too long as well.
No, you're going to go check Sheila 2 first. Then if Sheila 2 doesn't have the goods, you're going straight up tower.
Yeah, I agree. That's how I would route it as well.
Dragus picking up his rat tail, and Antidel making his first trip back to the surface. The one nice...
Go right to the Tower of Zod.
I will say this, the one nice thing Antidale has for himself is the fact that he does have that Earth Crystal, so you could route both of those in together, the Harp and the Earth Crystal.
Yeah, and those two being right next to each other makes it so that they're kind of convenient checks as well.
And question in chat, what did Raptail give? Nothing to write home about. Oh, package, thank you. Though, again, that package is in play, so there could still be that really lovely D-Mist at package.
Absolutely. Poidrak getting the Sand Ruby from Sheila 2, so as suspected, heading right to the Tower of Babel.
You don't want to see... Well, the nice thing is you can use that Sand Ruby to pick up a fresh Cid just before your Z fight, but you don't really want to see Sand Ruby.
Yeah, and as in the chat, Firebird Lover says, Poidrak now has hit that 10 key item threshold.
This is true. He does have that 10 key item, so now he's going to get double experience from all of his fight.
Let's see if Poydrick goes for the Penguinator special and does half tower. I don't think he's going to do half tower, but that would be a cool play to see.
That's always an interesting play to see, and I don't know why it works for our recent Zima Zone winner, Penguinator, but anytime I've ever attempted that half tower play, I get nothing.
Yeah.
But we have some reversal of roles for a lot of our runners. So once again, a huge shout out to our restreamer today, Invenerable, chatting away with y'all in chat, giving y'all information, being the awesome person that he is, and our runner-up in Highway to the Zima Zone. So a really good runner in his own rights. And of course, Gambit on tracking, who is always a pleasure to work with, keeps us on our toes and corrects us for all the mistakes we inevitably make. And as always, Rex Roll, who does a lot of commentary, fantastic guy, and always a pleasure to work with. So make sure you give all of them a follow.
Yeah, and Valveless Skunkers carrying the brunt of the commentary tonight as I'm losing part of my voice, but I'm doing what I can here.
So now we have some encores of music. We have the actual Dark Elf fight on Pixel Tamer side, and Poydrak is playing with his dolls.
Getting a good roll of that Grimoire with Leviathan Summon. Takes out all those dolls.
It's always nice when the Grimoire rolls in your favor. So now Poydrak's going to be the only one that's going to be giving us new information. What does this tower key have for us?
Yeah, and if this isn't it, I'm guessing he's going to go down the sealed cave route and kind of follow what Cantadale was doing. Rather than fighting the scary bosses down at the bottom of the Feymarch.
I don't know. You've got your 10 key items. You probably could quick. You're going to fight eggs anyways. Just knock out that grind. And then try to route it, do the Feymarch and then go to Sealed Cave. Granted, we're behind the screen looking at the racer's run, so we have hindsight 2020.
Yeah, I just think the runners are going to try to avoid the Kanazo and Overpogo like the plague. So that's why I think he's going to go Sealed Cave and go that route first. But we'll see. Well, and then, of course, if this tower key leads to either the pass or the Darkness Crystal, then it'll be a moot point anyways.
The one thing to point out is Poydrak does have that Sand Ruby, so the Ogo Pogo and Kainatsu potentially is going to be easier because you can pick up a fresh Cid to be your agility anchor and slow those bosses down some. And Pixel Tamer getting his Twin Harp now as we're going to laser focus on Poydrak. Womp womp. It is an Artemis bow, but not progression.
Right. That's really nice. And here, Poydrak going straight to the Sealed Cave. But Annadale looking to go cash in that pan, not using the fact that the Tower of Zot is right in the same neighborhood as the Twin Harp. So gonna go through the Sheila check, so might be delayed before we see anyone head up that Tower of Zot.
I don't hate the play from Antidale because just in his mind, Pan's gonna be quick 2 key item checks. I don't know if he did Sheila 1, I can't remember. but it is very, very quick compared to Earth Crystal. Earth Crystal is a single check, 2 bosses, 2 characters, which will be Cid.
Yeah. And Gambit in the chat. Earth Crystal or D-Mist could open progression. So could Kainazo or Ogopogo down in the Feymarch.
And I really want to see what these runners do for that Ogopogo Kainazo, because that's going to be the interesting fights.
Yeah, really would like to see them see those fights be required, because that would make this, that would be the real challenging point of this run.
And PK pointing out a chain of Zot into Baron Key. It would be convenient. And I think that's like the only 2 rabbit holes we have left is this Earth Crystal and a Baron Key that's just floating around somewhere we're not quite sure of.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that Baron Key ends up being on the moon.
And in that case, we will never see it. I'm also going to probably say our pass is on the moon, so I think our runners are going to be making a nice long walk of shame today.
That would also be my guess. I mean, we could easily be wrong and have the pass be behind Ogopogo and the Darkness Crystal be behind Kainazo. So,
or, you know, one of my favorites that I've seen happen, pass be on D-Mist behind that package.
Yeah.
But, you know, I wish the absolute worst things on our runners, because they're over there running and I get to sit here, enjoy watching them race and not stress.
Well, that would be an interesting thing, though. If it turns out, like, if we don't find progression and you have to fight the Feymarch bosses, and we know they're Ogopogo and Kainazo, would you rather check on that D-Mist possibility in the package?
No.
Is that time loss worth?
I mean, if you gamble it and it pays off that it is D-Mist and somehow it has Darkness or your pass, that is just Galaxy Get Brain play. But it takes quite a bit of time to do the package, and you're only being rewarded with the potential that it's a D-Mist.
Absolutely.
You can't even pick up, another character. You're going to be stuck with a Cid.
Oh yeah, the only thing that you'd check, or the only thing that you'd get is a potential D-Mist.
So Pixel Tamer and Poidrak have both finished up their Seal Cave, both have their Earth Crystal, and now they got to make the oh so fun trek back out of Seal Cave, because even if you have exits, they don't work, and because you do not have a Black Mage, you can't walk slowly out, so enjoy walking.
Yeah, one of those annoying dungeons where the exit spell does not work.
And that's simply because you have to have the second scene when Kane stabs you in the back, which doesn't happen in Free Enterprise. And I think I just answered Firebird Lover's question in chat. What happens is some of these locations that you can't exit from have cutscenes, and it's just to prevent you from skipping them. And what did you miss? You missed our Twin Harp checks being nothing, Tower Key leading to a Artemis Bow, and our runners are all starting to converge on that Earth Crystal. With still the Ogopogo and Kainazo at Leviathan and Asura looming over your heads. Though you're starting to get that experience, and it's not going to be too much of a grind. And a lot of these runners are going to have that Sand Ruby to be able to quickly pick up a fresh Cid. And we all love DJ Spoonie B, so let's have a 4th rendition of the lovely, lovely music. And in case we have new viewers, I'll just not spoil it until you get to hear it. I also saw Antidale and Poydrak starting to loot the Troya Castle. One of just the small things that's annoying with Cid is he just has such a limited equipment pool. Sometimes it's just you're constantly looking for something just to improve him.
Yeah, and we've got those Fame Arch bosses are still looming, not to mention Zeramus. And you want Cid to be able to do as much damage as possible with his limited stats.
So just saw a strength ring, which we know where Zeus gauntlets are. I don't know if Poydrak does. We saw a power shirt, which is actually pretty nice. And I thought there's an Artemis bow. You know, getting some decent stuff in here. Our first fight in the Tower of Zot is Pale Dim.
Yeah, that shouldn't be too problematic for a party of Cids.
Pale Dim, just physical attacks unless you attack it with a physical attack. Then it counters with slow, and never cast elemental magic on Pale Dim, and don't summon against Pale Dim.
Yeah, no summons, no elemental magic, and you're good to go. Pale Dim is one of those bosses that could be nasty in that King Queen Oven spot mentioned before.
Can be. The physical attack's still pretty dangerous. Or, you know, if you get stuck with a party of Rydias and you don't have any sort of physical damage for her, it's not fun.
Looks like the first character in the Tower of Zot is Cid.
What a shock. Poydrak is very hot on Antidale's heels up this Tower of Zot. Oh look, Cid rescuing Cid from Cid. And I thought there was too many Cids in Final Fantasy XII.
Hey, there's our Mega Man Cid.
The best Cid.
Antidale once. Mega Man Cid.
Once again, a lot of these sprites done by a fabulous community member, Scala Kitty. A lot of them are references to different games, and you know, Cid has Mega Man Cid, and since I haven't been paying attention, oh, there's a Wario Cid, Off-Color Cid, Speed Racer Cid, Green Cid.
Looks like Antidale was taking that Mega Man Cid to be an anchor. Excuse me.
I mean, when you have the world as your oyster for the choice of color of Cids, pick your favorite.
Yeah, he immediately clicked a Dwarf Axe on him. So the base level Cid getting a negative bonus to agility makes sense there for an anchor. The Baron Guards, interesting, these are mage-type enemies. Your rune axes, your mute daggers, or not mute daggers, but mute arrows, going to be quadruple effective. Oh, an elven bow. You're going to all be quadruple times effective against these guards.
Yep, and you do kind of want to get that hourglass on them, even though you've got some good levels. Well, his Cid's taking them out. They do like to counter with some fun spells.
Yeah, Size and Piggy are the ones that you see the most.
Size for physical, Piggy for magical. So the question is it Tower of Zot?
Yeah, this is it. We still haven't seen D-Mist as well.
Swing and a miss.
Excalibur, so
feels bad.
We've got what? The package and the two bosses down here.
So you're going to go for the Fame Arch bosses.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's going to go ahead and test the waters with the package. That would be rough.
Just a note, Auntie Dell has not done Tower Key.
Ah.
And
Let
I
me see.
think
Yeah.
Dragus is getting ready to do the Fame Arch bosses, the first one to make another attempt at them since the first time we've seen them.
By skipping some of those rabbit holes, this could definitely put Dragus in the lead if he can take care of these bosses.
Dragus also another of our runner at 10 key items, which all of our runners have those 10 key items, so grinding's not going to be an issue anymore. You know where your sirens are. You're going to do egg grind because egg grind. And as we keep saying, there is still the D-Mist at large, and the only spot D-Mist could possibly be is that package, which would be the greatest troll of all.
Yeah, if that's it, that would be crazy. Dragus, once again, making use of these moon veils against Ogopogo. Pretty heads-up play. The physical attacks are going to be very strong. If you can keep the healing up between the big waves that come, this could be a winning strategy here.
It's very true. The big waves come in cycles. The first one's going to... Oh, that's... You don't want to summon. But,
does the Grimoire trigger the same thing? Yes, it does. There it goes.
It still does. But the one thing to note about the big wave from Ogopogo, first time it's going to take off half your HP, next time a quarter, and it's just going to alternate. Knowing how those alternations work is a good way to get through the fight. Unfortunately, Dragus rolled a Sylph on Ogopogo. I wouldn't even attempt a Grimoire at that Leviathan spot. It's still got pretty hefty HP, and Blaze hurts.
Now, I haven't, well, as mentioned before, we haven't been able to keep track of all the shops that we've seen. Have we seen Cure 3s for Sam?
They were in Tomra, I believe.
Man, everything's in Tomra.
Yeah, Tomra is, you know, we have the nuclear job dwarf.
Yeah, well, I guess...
It's loaded. Artemis arrows, Cure 3s, Zeus gauntlets, and you know where samurai bows are. Dragus turning in that pan, being rewarded with the sand ruby, and just nope.
Yep, don't want to bother with that.
But all of our runners are starting to converge. Dragus now making his dive into that sealed cave.
Yeah, like Dragus was kind of gonna. It looks like he was planning on using the Grimoires as a strategy. Once realizing that those Grimoires are going to be triggering that counter blaze, like I need to do something different. So I don't blame him for trying something else instead of trying to beat your head on a boss that you think just has your number right now.
No,
we know that this is not the right play, but he doesn't. So it makes sense to him for him to do this.
No, do with what you're comfortable with. Don't do like some people, I'm not going to name names, who bash their head against a boss for 25 minutes.
Yeah, Rex raises his hand.
Yeah, I've done it too.
Especially difficult bosses in the Fame Arch are ones that I beat my head against way too often.
But Antidel, making use of those sirens, those 10 key items, Artemis bows, he is just, yeah, eggs are dead. That's 64,000 experience. So gonna be, I still did it wrong. 68,000 experience. Gonna get some quick levels for Cid. He's gonna be very, very close to Zeromus ready by the time he goes to take on this Ogopogo.
Greg is seeing that Earth Crystal, probably just realizing, I can't just reset. I've actually got to fight this fight.
Yeah, and it's, you don't want to see that Earth Crystal. It's just, it is a painfully slow chat.
Yeah, that's where you want to see like the Drain Spear. So you can just reset out.
Still want to check the boss. Remember, none of our runners have seen the D-Mist. And Poidrak looked like he immediately reset of Ogopogo. I don't think he actually healed, so probably didn't know that that was Ogopogo.
Yeah, that's my guess as well. So, did a reset using a cabin. Gonna go ahead. Now armed with the knowledge. We'll see what he does here. If he goes for that Ogopogo fight, or if he decides to try Kinata.
That's going to be the question. I would think Kainatsu would be easier. Yes, Asura is incredibly fast. Do not be mistaken. But I still think the Kainatsu would be a little bit easier. At least in my opinion.
Looks like Poidrak may agree with you. Heads on over to the Kainatsu fight.
And especially if you have, like, lightning arrows. Oh, Kainatsu is going to be fun.
Yeah, lightning arrows or ice arrows. Either one would be pretty nice.
Well, it kind of depends. If you're leaving him in his water form, you would want to use the lightning arrows. I don't think he quite got that bolt off in time, so he is going to get hit with that big wave.
Yeah, on these really fast spots, it's really tough to get that timing right, so that you can hit that rage before the wave hits. But that wave was not so bad for Poidrak there.
He managed to get a couple hits off, and wave is based off of Kainatsu's HP. This spot has around 20,000-ish. I can't remember exact numbers for that. So not the scariest Kainatsu in the world, but certainly not going to be the easiest. The big thing is this spot is just incredibly fast.
Yeah, and it's another one where it's going to be of advantage, so you can tank a little bit more damage from those waves, despite Kainatsu's speed.
Well, like I said, the big wave is based off of Kainatsu's HP, and instead of guaranteed half or quarter like Ogopogo's will be. So
right.
that Cid HP pool is going to be nice. Antidel, first one to get that Kainatsu inside his shell.
Yeah, when he's low on HP, he'll hide in the shell and occasionally use a remedy to heal himself. You just want to wail on him as much as possible there. And Antidale defeats Kainatsu.
And Invulnerable being amazing and posting exact HP amounts for boss spots. And Kainatsu is not what you want to fight. It is a Masamune. So, everyone get ready for the best Canadian serpent, the Nopro.
Yeah, we got Ogs to the Pogues here.
Come on, hold a crystal sword. That would just be perfect. Ogopogo holding a crystal sword and D-Mist that behind package. Come on, Invulnerable, make this Cid troll real.
It's definitely a possibility.
Antidel, getting those Bacchuses up right away. You want to be pumping out your damage very, very quickly into the spot. Have a couple of the Cids throwing those Cure 3s. Keep your HP up, and shouldn't have too much trouble. 3,500 damage a pop with that already set up on the top Cid.
Yeah, Adamant Armor Cid as well.
Already Adamant, and I think maybe even a Crystal. Oh, yeah. Crystal Ring, I think you might want to put that on the other Cid.
Yeah, it might be the Zeus Gauntlet there too.
Very true. Zeus Gauntlet's another good item. And Dragus, our fourth runner, now up into Tower of Zot, going to be rewarded with nothing. Honestly, I would, instead of that Excalibur, being rewarded with nothing would feel better.
Poidrak is also making use of the moon veils. A little bit more safety, but takes a little bit more time to set that up than Antidale's strategy.
Like we mentioned earlier, the moon veils give you that barrier status on top of the reflect. In this fight, we don't care about reflect, but that barrier status means you're just not getting hit. Antidel does get through Ogopogo. And
Oh, the glitch!
you know he's freaking out now.
Oh,
I couldn't read it fast enough. I never opened up the track. Oh, Baron Key. That is beautiful.
well, there are 2 more potential key item locations opened up now, with the Vanilla Baron sequence and the Odin spot. So, if it wasn't something that led to something, then we might have seen that package check. But headed to go into the best mall ever in Tomer.
Alright, so Baron Castle, let's have a Magma Key. And let's be kind, give the pink tail as well. I'll show a little bit of kindness.
So you want to give out 2 more key items without progression.
Exactly.
I just say put those 2 on the moon and give them nothing.
No, just
There we go.
let's really reinforce the fact that the moon is haunted. And have Demas carrying that darkness crystal, and the pass, who cares?
That's going to be the only thing on the moon.
But you know Anti-Del is sweating buckets after seeing that Baron Key.
Yeah, this is a deep dive that the runners have to make.
Yeah, I mean, it's what happens. Rando likes to do things. And then being stuck with all Cids, those things just don't feel fun sometimes. You are correct. While we have our runners just either grinding or doing things we already know, Invenerable rolled this lovely, lovely pick your rabbit hole that leads to nothing seed. And is doing the restream, by the way. Amazing job as always. And of course, Gambit doing the tracking, making sure we're on top of our toes because we miss things all the time.
And shout out to Natara who came up with this flag set as well.
I am not honoring Natara with Cid percent. I've run Cid percent. It's just... I like Cid as a character, I do. He's just... It's Cid. He's boring.
That's harsh.
And don't be mistaken, Natara is absolutely a wonderful person. It's just, it's still Cid percent. If she had given us Tele percent, though... But Poydrak and Anti-Del both have their Baron Key. Anti-Del just slightly in the lead. Pixel Tamer taking on that Kainatsu fight. And Dragus playing with the Baron Guards up at Tower of Zot.
Kid Coop in the chat, Cid is indestructible. Well, he
Yeah.
did set off a bomb that he was holding while free falling from an airship and survived, so he might be the unbreakable one.
Like I said, I didn't say he wasn't an incredible character as a character. For combat, though, I mean, Adamant Armor, Artie, yeah, he's gonna do pretty decent damage. But you don't always get Adamant Armor, Artie for a bunch of Cids. You might get it for one. Anti-Del through the first fight in Baron. So, Rex, what would you do here? Would you go straight to Odin or go straight to the throne?
I'm a fan of completing the throne first. Just because if something goes awry and I'm not able to complete that that fight down in the Odin spot, I want to have at least gotten some progress before then. I guess there's an argument that if you go back and save or something, but I don't want to walk all the way back down. But
Unfortunately, our dream of package demist, it will not be realized. Demist has taken over Baron for trying to blow up her town.
Can't blame the Divas here.
No, you can't. But Antidel and Poidrak very close together on this demist fight. And Antidel making use of the Kamikaze to avoid the dissolve.
Yeah, you get familiar enough with the game and you know the HP levels of the bosses. And Poidrak doing the same here. It's just a smart way to save a little bit of time.
Yes, like I said, all these runners are very, very good runners. They know what they're doing. They have the knowledge. It's just the seed is being read.
Now, my guess is they'll also go check Mist Village before the Odin spot.
You've got 2 checks. You just pick the one you want to do. You're already right here at Odin. Or do you go ahead, get in your airship, fly over to Mist, get out of your airship, go walk into town, find it's nothing, and walk, and then go back to Odin. Hey, look, Magma Key.
You're saying that as though Mist is like on the opposite side of the world, where it's right next door.
But getting in the airship twice.
Yeah, I think that's still faster than walking down to the Odin spot.
Do not judge my laziness.
And there we have it.
At 1 hour 26 minutes, Antidel, our first runner in go mode, finding darkness from Demist, and Poidrak literally seconds behind. My good friends in the Free Enterprise channel, we have a race.
And Annadale not checking the Odin spot for the pass. Magus 1, this is not Giant Percent. This is V1 Forge the Crystal.
We just had everything else we needed except for moon access, right away. So Antidel, the first one getting the giant shrimp out. Oh, I'm sorry, big whale out. Poidrak rearranging his party slightly before pulling out the big whale. And Poidrak hasn't done his grind, so he's going to go ahead and grind now.
He's done a decent amount of grinding, but he wants to finish up, I think, before heading up to the moon.
This is very true. You're going to one-shot these eggs, so even if you were to go to the moon, the egg grind is ever so slightly faster.
Yeah, because you have to factor in you're going to be using an hourglass. You've got to hit a couple times with the arty arrows for each one. Yeah, and you're probably seeing a couple of attacks from the King Ryos during that, so the more animations they have to wait with. It's close, but I think if you can one-shot eggs, they're going to be a faster one.
Very, very true. And the nice thing is because everyone is going to have to make this really long walk of shame, we're going to get a fresh Cid. A fresh Cid is a really nice agility anchor, actually. Not the greatest, but when you're stuck with Cid, and Cid, I think I would take the fresh Cid, stick him in the middle. Boom, there's my agility anchor.
I think Annadale has been prepping for the agility anchor since the Tower of Zod. So, decides not to take the fresh Cid. But we'll see what happens with Poidrak.
Alright. Meanwhile, while Antidel is making his descent into the lunar core, slowly but surely, Pixel Tamer is now on the right path, taking on that Ogopogo. Dragus is playing with the Kanatsu. I see some flags in chat. We're getting there.
Now, when we get to the lunar core, we'll think about asking some more questions at that time, I think.
But
we've got a walk of shame to deal with right now.
So just enjoy the music of the lunar subterranean.
Yeah, the Red Wings, one of my favorite songs in this whole game.
It is a good track. Poydrak making his ascent to the moon.
Yeah, just a little bit behind Everdale there.
Do you remember this is a Cid Z fight? This is always a fun one. I will say that is not a fresh Cid on Anti-Dale side. While Cid does have a pretty poor agility growth, I do think he will have a little more agility. I don't know how much that's going to matter, but at least Cid's going to have some more HP.
I know he's got at least a Dwarf Axe for his anchor, so he might feel happy enough with that. I don't know if he's got a Curse Ring as well.
And Rex, we have a very impatient chat today, but there is a question we always love to ask once our runners are getting to the very end of a seed because of one special thing. What is that question?
The question is, whose butt are we going to kick tonight? Because it is butt time. We have the wonderful Z flag, which changes the appearance but not the stats of Zeromus.
There's something around 400 Z sprites from all sorts of different series. A lot of them, most of them done by the wonderful Scala Kitty, who also designed all of our lovely Cid sprites.
I think it's like there's at least 14,000 sprites. Wait, that might not be right.
We're getting there. Anti-Dale making some final last-second adjustments to his inventory, getting ready for the Z fight. Does have a single Silk Web. That is actually a nice thing to have.
Flurry asks, Quad Zerk incoming? Possibly. Quad Zerk is not that bad of a strategy. It's tough without a White Mage, though.
It is.
You gotta dish out those Cure 3s as quickly as possible.
I would base it on what my weapons are. Am I bold enough to do Quit Zerk? Or am I going to play a little bit safe and go with Quads?
I love a Quit Zerk.
Everyone loves Quint Zerk. It is always a joy to watch. We have the Crystal Throne. His true colors emerged. Weird grunting noises. It fits. I mean, the entire Kirby universe is a giant troll. A very good giant troll, but a giant troll. I like this sprite.
A cool-looking sprite. I've never played the game that it's from.
This is from Kirby Superstar, I believe. I'm a good 75 on. And this bird is a gigantic jerk.
Yeah, well, it's a bird, so that fits.
Not all birds are jerks.
Oh.
Just 98% of them.
Don't be saying that sort of stuff around Quexel.
Quexel, if you ever show up in here, I will argue with you that not all birds are jerks. Only 98% of them. Unless you're talking about a goose or geese. All geese are jerks. But very, very delicious.
It's like Quadrak now getting into that Zeromus fight. Gonna be maybe a minute behind Antidale.
I will point out, Antidale, when he threw that Silk Web, the nuke hit the middle Cid.
That's ideal, I think.
It is ideal. That Cid is your weakest Cid. All the rest of your Cid, oh, you just left one on Berserk. Even better. So we have Tri-Zerker today, it looks like.
Yeah, I think that kind of makes sense.
For this setup, I would tend to agree. Poidrak did not take a fresh Cid, so all of his Cids have pretty respectable HP, so Quad Zerker would be a little bit nicer. It's going to depend, you know, you're probably not going to die once you get set up, because Cid just has a lot of HP. Unless, you know, Zeromus does everyone's favorite that I've seen wipe every single runner, and I do not wish it on any of our runners.
The rocks falling right after a Big Bang.
Of course. As you can see on Antidale's side, his Cids are doing a little over 2k damage per shot, and then the top one about 35k. I can't do math in my head right now, but you know, just shy of 8,000-ish per round. Yeah, you got a little bit of a fight on your hand. It's going to take a moment to get through the Z fight, especially since you can't prevent that HP reveal. You are getting the HP refill.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. When you're going like Tri-Zerker strategy, you just know that you're eating that HP refill. But the plus side is, like when you're using Berserk strategies, you're filling up the queue so fast, you're taking more turns per round. It kind of saves time there. So the time that you lose from the HP...
Oh, there's a flash.
Wow, that happened faster than I was expecting.
Antidale takes first place with a time of 1:36.23. GG, well played to him. Gonna see if we can get him in for an interview.
Yeah, absolutely. GG's well done there, without a doubt.
Making great use of the S3 flag, buying those Artemis arrows, certainly making a nice difference in that fight. And I believe both Dragus and Pixel Tamer have gotten through that Ogopogo fight, so now I'll have to go play with that Baron Key.
Well, Poidrak is eating a black hole here, so I'm gonna have to re-up the Bacchus wines for the Berserks here.
Never like to see the black hole with Zerker strats, but you're so rich, you have the Bacchus wines. It's an annoyance. Though with bows, he might be short on arrows now.
Yeah, looks like switching up to an Ogre Axe there. But that's, you know, just a smart play to check that. Because if you forget and you enter a Berserk with a bow and no arrows, you're just going to be punching. And that does not do a lot of damage.
It's funny to watch, though.
Yeah.
I mean, you will eventually kill Zeromus with punching. It's just gonna take a very long time, but very heads up, check those arrows.
Yeah, because this game is programmed so well, when you're in a Berserk state and you only have one arrow, you can keep using that arrow over and over and over again. But as soon as that Berserk runs out, then that last arrow will go.
This is very, very true. As long as it's a self-Berserk or their turn is not coming up, they...
Right.
But, this game is a miracle of coding, duct tape, and hopes and prayers. absolutely love it for it.
Dragus has defeated the D-Mist, which we know will lead to that Darkness Crystal.
Come on, Dragus, be a hero and go check that Odin spot for me. And we are now joined by Antidale. GG, well played.
Oh, thank you. That was a fun seed.
So, how much were you sweating when you saw Ogopogo give you Baron Key?
Both a lot and none at all, because I figured it was going to go somewhere or it'd be a Demus hunt, and it turns out it was both. But since I had run through kind of parallel rabbit holes for a while, and no one had that done, I felt okay. And Ogopogo is rude and Leviathan, so I figured everyone's going to leave that for last anyway.
Ogopogo is rude in general, but Leviathan, nope, rope and Leviathan is just... And
Yeah,
then you have a
it's
party
hard.
of Cids.
Right. I was glad I kept one of them down after a little bit, and that let me get some agility stuff going on.
Certainly did, and you picked a good Cid palette for your agility anchor.
I actually don't know all of the Cid palettes and what they're referenced. I'm always fond of Speed Racer and Mega Man, but
I mean, the sprites in general, just really well done, but any thoughts on this seed in general? Running Cid percent, just Cid percent.
yeah, it's hope you get D-Lunars at a friendly spot, which it was, and then find your adamant armor and a couple Artemis bows, and just run.
Well, nice thing is you were able to buy Artemis arrows as well.
Yeah, that's why I kept checking shops that were relatively accessible and didn't have to dig for until I could find Artemis arrows, Dwarf Axe, or a Cursed Road too, to make sure I could anchor.
Excuse me for interrupting, just a quick update. Unfortunately, Poidrak had to just take a wipe during Zeramis. Looks like he's still a little bit ahead of Dragus and Pixel Tamer, but is going to have to try again.
You hate to see it, but, you know, it happened. So, Antidale, any final thoughts on this seed or this flag set in general?
It's a fun flag set. I wouldn't want to do it all the time because I don't love hunting for adamant armors constantly, but as a nice palette, it's good stuff. And
So we're
the
going to
seed-
see you in Friday's race, right?
Yeah, probably. See if I can do well again. Although I heard Invenerable is actually going to run in that one, so I don't expect to come anywhere near the lead.
Invenerable is a great runner, but everyone knows he gets second.
I mean, that's got to stop sometime, I'm sure.
Yeah, no. Invenerable is an incredible runner, and I've been getting to watch you. You are absolutely incredible as well, so I'm really looking forward to seeing that race.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
But GG, well played. Congrats on first place, and looking forward to seeing you running again on Friday.
All right, thank you, and thanks for the restream and the commentary and the tracking.
And that was Antidale. Antidale was actually competing in Hope and Not to that happened not too long ago and did incredibly well in it. And as Invenerable's pointing out, it's just a running joke. Invenerable is absolutely an amazing runner and someone that I've gotten to race against, and I think I've never actually won against, but he's an amazing person, and I just like to poke fun at him every now and then. But just overall, this community is absolutely amazing while Poidrak gets into his second round of the Z fight.
And we're all going to hope he does better this time.
Yeah, from what I saw, he has a bunch of ogre axes, and I mean, you definitely can beat Zeromus with nothing but Ogre Axes. It's just it's slow.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's tough because how many Cids are you gonna dedicate to the berserking, and how many are going to be on chemister detail? It's tough to balance it. And I think Annandale was running with a different style party by having a dedicated anchor, which it doesn't like. I didn't see his setup for his middle Cid, but at that level, like with all those hit points, it's not going to be an anchor with as low as agility as Annandale had. So that might be what's causing a little bit more difficulty too. Getting all 5 of your characters to higher levels isn't always necessarily the right strategy in this game because, as said before, this game is programmed well.
There's so much to go into agility anchoring. I don't think I could give you all the details in an entire restream. But just for the Zeromus fight, your general rule of thumb is you want your middle slot character, or if agility anchoring is off, your Cecil to be as close to 28 as possible without being below it, or as low as possible trying to be below 10.
Yeah, it's like reverse Price is Right rules. You want to get as close to 28 without going under.
And I will say this, while it is doable, 27 agility anchor Zeromus is not fun. And as for 14, no.
Yeah, 14 isn't a breakpoint. Like when agility anchoring was kind of first being broached as a subject, it was thought that 14 was a breakpoint, but it really isn't. But 28, and then you could get another one above that at like 42. But if you've got your anchor at 42, then you're going to be so fast anyways. Your team is going to be so good. You don't worry about it. So that's why we think of 28 as like the magic number.
And just off the top of my head, I believe Zeromus's agility is in the upper 60s. It's just in the base game, everything's agility kind of was based off of Cecil's, and there's a lot of details to it. I know there's an amazing guide by Simbu, which will help you learn about agility anchoring, and there's a lot of other information out there. And of course, you can always ask questions in the newbie corner. There's lots of people always helping out in there. So I wish I could get you all that information. It's just a lot of information. We have another Crystal Throne. Drag us now into his Z fight proper.
Archer with an R, 10 would help because remember, it's not just Zeromus's relative agility that you're looking at, but the rest of your characters as well. So if your anchor has 10 and the rest of your characters are a high agility, then they're going to get more turns relative to the middle person as well. And that's why like 27 doesn't work as well, because then your character basically yeah, it's a weird sort of situation. There's a lot to learn, and you could go into way more details.
But if you just kind of pay attention between the two fights on Poidrak and Dragus, Dragus is going to have a very different agility anchor, and you're going to notice Zeromus is probably going to be significantly slower. Pixel Tamer actually is breaking out the King Ryu grind.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised to see somebody do that with things like Artemis arrows available. Although it looks like he's wailing on the King Ryu with hammers. Well, there's the arty stuff there.
Question in chat, it looks like Invenerable slightly beat me to it, but that is Kirby Superstar. That is Dynablade, and it is the biggest jerk bird in most of gaming history, except for the goose. I was wondering who was going to honk first. Poidrak getting hit with that black hole. Black hole removes all your positive status effects. So your Berserk's going to be gone. If you have Reflect, it's gone. Black hole is Zeromus's I'm going to be a real jerk to you right now move.
Firelight brings like my favorite jerk bird, the Ninja Gaiden birds. They wrecked me as a kid.
Those birds weren't jerks. We're talking about jerk birds. Those birds were evil. There is a very clear distinction.
Poidrak has 2 Cids down, and then eats another Big Bang here. Hopefully, he'll be able to stabilize at this point. But this is cutting it close again.
Garuda in Final Fantasy III is a mythical being, not quite a bird. Nice try.
Kind of looks like a bird.
Well, it definitely looks like a bird, but I mean, there's so many mythical beings. There's bound to be, 6,000-7,000 of them. But yeah, Garuda in Final Fantasy III is a gigantic jerk. And
Ooh,
Dragus.
we see rocks falling on Dragus' screen.
Ooh.
Oh, no.
That is why you can never underestimate the Z fight. He loves doing Big Bang into Medio into you're dead.
That was rough.
But as you saw, Poidrak got into the fight first before Dragus is having a lot more trouble with it, and Dragus just got a really unlucky roll right there.
Yeah, that was too bad. Yeah, Dragus was poised to overcome Poidrak in the fight, and that's just an unfortunate happening there. Poidrak's in danger now too.
Yeah, he does have the one Cid above 2,500, so it's manageable, but you gotta play it right. But that's a shake.
Yeah, got the Cure 3 off. Hopefully both of them will survive this Big Bang. The middle one it's going to be rough.
If the middle one survives, because he threw the Cure 3 at that middle one, I think he's okay.
Oh, that was a
does
high
not-
roll.
Oh, he threw a life potion. But is... Okay, does the
Oh,
black
gets a
hole...
black hole. He's going to need to heal up here. Probably have both Cids use Cure 3s. Before
Poidrak,
zerking up.
Poidrak, I can't handle this sort of stress. Yeah, that's not what you want to see.
Might survive it though.
He does. Holding on by the skin of his teeth at 37 hit points. The top Cid getting above that 2,200 should be able to survive most your Big Bangs. I think that one does have an adamant armor as well.
Okay, get the double Cure 3. Now you can... I don't know where in the cycle we are if the black hole is coming next. If he wants to zerk up right now. He is using the Bacchus.
Unfortunately, I have not watched his Z fight from start to finish, so I don't know exactly in the cycle he is. But
Right.
let's get the damage
Okay,
going.
there's a shake, so... Yep, damage is coming in, so that's good.
And we have some multiple Z fights going on. Pixel Tamer just now throwing his own crystal.
And we've seen how dangerous this Zeromus fight can be for the runners. So it really is anybody's race at this point. For second place, that is, because, of course, Anadale took first place.
And this is one of those things, Pixel Tamer did some extra grinding. His Cids are going to have just better overall stats. Throws a Silk Web.
Yeah.
The fight should be a little bit easier on his type. It's still Cids.
Yeah, and Light Poydrak did not go for a dedicated low-level anchor, but has more levels as a buffer than Poydrak has as well.
I think his Cids are in the 50s. That looks somewhere in the 50s.
He might have gotten an anchor to 28.
I think so as well. So, to those that are just showing up into the free enterprise race for Monday nights, we are in No Country or Old Cids, aka Cid.
Yeah, all Cids all the time.
So if you wanted to use those amazing weapons, the incredible magic, you're stuck with not so incredible gear. Unless you find Artie, or, you know, get your Cids to good levels so that Rune Axe or Poison Axe, if you want to use them, are got enough multipliers to do damage.
I think Poydrak might be out of Cure 3 as he's using Cure 2s to try to heal up Cid, so this is rough. He needs to get this Zeramus dead as quickly as possible.
And there's another shake. I don't think the Cure 2 is going to be enough.
And there's the Big Bang.
If it's an incredibly low roll, nope.
That is not an incredibly low roll. Or Poydrak. Have to give it, yeah, going back, it looks like he's going to do a little more grinding.
I think this kind of boiled down just to knowing the flags a little bit more. Antidel made amazing use of finding those Artemis arrows, and you're seeing the difference in that damage.
Yeah, those equipment shops in Tomra were insanely loaded, and making use of that really helped Antidale there.
Ooh, Dragus is low, but there's a flash.
There's a flash.
So
luckily, did not get meteored out this time.
So Dragus managing to squeak in and take that second place with a time of 1:56.35. GG, well played. Gonna see if we can get him in for an interview. And Pixel Tamer just got black holed, so all his berserks are gone.
Yeah, and this is, remember, Poydrak was in the Zeramus fight when Antidale was. And that was before Dragus and Pixel Tamer even came to the moon. So Dragus definitely made up time with his strategies to leapfrog past Poydrak in this race.
It certainly was. Poydrak in the Z fight, a minute behind Antidale, and it's just boiled down to, I think, a combination of gear and not the best agility anchor. And we have a third place finisher, BG Rich 419, taking third with a time of 1:57.55. GG to him.
Argent with an R, I tend to agree with you that he probably did underestimate Zeramus. It's tough, but when you're so used to playing this game, you might forget every now and then that Zeramus is no joke.
I think part of it is also people are overestimating that adamant armor and crystal rings. They are incredible. They do not actually just save you from Zeroma. And we are joined by our second place finisher, Dragus. GG, well.
Thanks.
So, Ogo Pogo at Leviathan.
Yep.
So I believe that was...
That was a mean spot.
It is, and I believe everyone left that for last, and then sees Baron.
Yeah.
So, then you see D-Mist on the throne. How relieved were you when you saw that?
Not necessarily relieved, because I figured at some point I was either getting something from Baron or from the D-Mist.
Well, at that point in time, D-Mist could have only been at one spot if it wasn't in Baron, which would have been the package, which not the funnest D-Mist check, but
We were rooting for it here, though.
oh, of course we were. But any thoughts on having to play Cid %?
At some point it's grab Cids and Bacchus and try to figure out the weird bosses.
One thing to note, it was S4, so Cid could make use of Artemis arrows, which usually we'll find in an S3 shop. S3, not S4.
Were they even in the seed?
They were
shop?
for selling. They were for selling Tomra.
I don't think I checked the weapon shop there.
But I mean, you still did a very nice Zeromus fight both times. Just Zeromus decided he was not going to let you win that first one.
Yeah.
But are we going to see you try to come back and take that first place on Friday?
I'm not really. I don't think I'm gonna be able to make it.
Well, still, second place, very well done. Good play throughout the seed. Definitely looking forward to seeing racing in future races. GG, any final thoughts?
Not really.
Alright, well, GG, well played again, and as always, pleasure seeing you.
Alright, thanks.
And that was Dragus, our second place finisher. Oh, there was our pink tail at Bahamut.
Yeah. And Podrak did go back to get an anchor, a fresh Cid. So going to be trying this with a bit different of a strategy this time. Now heading back over to the moon. Pixel Tamer's still in the middle of the Z.
And that was also good knowledge on Podrak's side, remembering that free characters was on, so fresh Cid over in Mysidia. Two of them, in fact.
Yeah, then made a swap in the we allow you to, we have the rescue flag on, so went into the Tower of Wishes and fine-tuned his team afterwards.
Oh yeah, we have rescue flag. I forget that exists a lot of the time.
Oh, we've got rocks falling on Pixel Tamer's screen.
Rocks falling. Cid's at good HP.
Yeah, this looks like it should be a win for Pixel. So. Beat I'm thinking, where's the flash?
So you remember how much I was just not liking Cid %? Oh, Pixel Tamer takes fourth place with a time of 2:03:07. GG, well.
GG's to Pixel Tamer.
The Zeromus fight is why I do not like Cid %.
Yeah, it's definitely almost certainly the most challenging part of a Cid % seed.
And speaking of more Cid %, we are joined by Pixel Tamer. GG, well played tonight.
Thanks. Doesn't really feel like I played it all that well. I basically did every possible rabbit hole to avoid fighting Ogopogo.
You and everybody else.
The one thing I just want to point out, S3 does give you access to the Artemis arrows.
Yeah, I did some weapon shopping, but not enough, clearly, because I just didn't make as good a use of the bows available to me as I could have.
you still played very, very well, but Artemis arrows for Cid is really what you're gonna have to go for because that Z fight just isn't fun.
Yeah, it takes forever when you don't really get to do any shenanigans.
So when you saw Ogopogo holding Baron Key, what were your thoughts there?
I figured, given that Antidale had recently finished, okay, it's gotta be Baron. I'm almost at 17 out of 17. I don't know what else it could be. There was a little bit of exasperation, but also an amount of being amused at Mist Dragon sitting on the throne.
Yeah.
Of course, we were hoping for Package to have D-Mist holding Darkness, but we'll accept
I
it.
almost went after that instead of going after Ogopogo. I was that desperate to avoid it.
I do not blame you one bit. Any other thoughts on this lovely Cid percent?
Be careful when you're shopping. Don't buy 20 Thor Rages instead of 20 Bacchus Wines.
I think we've all done that.
Yeah.
Well, you really need to stock up on the Eagle Eyes.
Oh, yeah, totally. I don't know what I'd do if my Cids got blinded.
But are we gonna see you race again in Fridays? Make up for this?
I've got a conflict on Friday, but I'm gonna try and be more active since I've taken some time to recover from the trauma of Hummingway Open.
I understand that.
You remember that seed we were in?
We don't discuss that.
Right. I forgot about that part.
But no, Pixel Tamer, a great runner. GG. Hope to see you racing some more. I know it's always a pleasure to race against and watch you race. So thank you for letting us restream you tonight. Even though
thanks for doing the restream.
Though you didn't really have a choice in the restream. But thank you anyway.
Here anyway. Have a good one.
You too. While we have Poydrak making his walk of shame again, make sure you're giving all of our runners a follow. They are putting themselves out here for our entertainment. They're all really amazing people. Great to watch when they're doing runs, talk to, and you know, the community as a whole is incredible. Of course, another shout out to our restreamer who, well, they rolled this, and that would be Invenerable, another really cool and amazing community member, and Gambit, who keeping us in check with tracking, and Rex, who I guarantee you everyone knows that Rex is one of our premier commentators. So,
well, as long as you think I'm at least somewhat rad, then that's all I ask for. But Bevelus is like one of the anchors of the restreaming, so make sure you give him a follow as well.
all right, Poydrak, now with a agility anchor, this should be a much cleaner of a Z fight.
Yeah, also did some more grinding. Got the levels up to about where Pixel Tamer was. So I think he's in much better set right now.
So he's going to have a slightly better agility anchor than Antidale had with the levels that Pixel Tamer had. And this is going to be, just doesn't have the Artemis arrows, at least that I saw him go and get. I did not know that Rex Rowell did karaoke in his stream. I need to pay attention more.
Yeah, well. Yeah,
Anyways.
lots of singing while I play my games.
But we see Poydrak getting set up for the Z fight, getting Berserk, and it looks like he has some Artemis arrows. And
Yeah, remember he had some before as well. He just ran out of them when the black hole hit. Hopefully he'll hit harder and won't have to worry about it this time around.
the nuke hitting the top Cid, that's actually kind of a high roll for that nuke.
Yeah, it might be somewhat dependent on what equipment he's got available too.
It looks like he's only going with a duo Zerker. That's gonna be it's gonna be easier to manage, but slower and safer.
It's tough because you want to keep everybody as safe as possible. The slower fight means you're probably going to see more black holes and have to re-up those berserks more often.
But just to point out, when he was doing even more Zerkers, they were all doing about 1,000 to 1,500. Now they're doing about 25. Those two are doing 25 to 3,000. So those levels certainly paying off.
Yeah, absolutely.
As Invenerable saying in chat, Poidrak is back with a vengeance, and I don't blame him. By the way, if you tuned into this race and decide that, you know, you want to try your hand at Cid%, we have another race on Friday at 10 Eastern. Yep. Yes, 10 Eastern, 10 p.m. Eastern time. So if you want to come in and join in the fun, come join us. Races are open to anyone that wants to come participate. And then I think Invenerable set up the 2v2 for this Saturday.
I believe that's right. I've got the race up here. Let me pull that up. Yeah, we're doing a no float 2v2. So it's called No, You Do Sylph Cave.
So I'm guessing there is no Rosa, no Porum, no Tella, and definitely no Fu.
That's correct. Those are the 4 no characters. Yeah, we got T4. A lot of the, if you're familiar with how 2v2 works, a lot of the similar flag sets, you got that KQNT, T4GR. So yeah, S2, yeah. Lots of flags that, if you're familiar with 2v2, that you'd be familiar with.
I will say 2v2 is an absolute blast to run. If you've never done it, it's you and a partner in a voice call of some sort, communicating what y'all are finding, and it sometimes leads to some hilarious things like, you know, oh, I just found adamant armor in Rosa's house. Okay, well, I just found my second crystal sword and I have another Cecil. And you just see people running back and forth looking through just about everything in the game.
I think the only real downside of watching a 2v2 race is because they're in voice chat, you can't listen to the music with the Twin Harp. When you're playing a 2v2 you can, but when you're watching it you usually can't.
There is actually a way to take care of that on the runner's side. Sorry, words are escaping me.
If you've got it set up right, you can do that. Yeah.
And if people, you know, want to be restreamed and split their audio, you know, I have no problem helping you learn to do that. And there's going to be several in the community that'll be more than happy to help you split your audio. As long as you know, talk to us a little bit in advance. Don't come to us like 5 minutes before the start of a race, because I'm going to say we don't have time. Or, you know, you can do what Invenerable suggested. Oh, we have rocks on Poidrak's side. But you could also do what Invenerable was suggesting, having Discord coming from another source such as your phone. So yeah, if you want to get involved in the 2v2, you don't have to have a partner right away. If you don't have one, someone will be more than happy to join you in there. And we are joined by Poidrak. I am... That Cid percent just got the better of you this time.
Yeah, I think this is a very good case of showing why Sid shouldn't be really used as DPS, and also why you use Sid as an anchor at some points. Not really. It didn't really get the best of me. It was just I knew I was going in with bad agility at all in the first 2 times. It's just I didn't bother to actually change it, which is stupid of me.
I mean, you still did very well in those Z fights. It's just, like you said, the bad agility, Zeromus just got you. But besides that, incredible play throughout the rest of the scene.
Yeah, the early go mode was a bit of a twist, but then there was that very long chain just for the Excalibur, and then Ogopogo actually having the real route. It's...
I mean, we were rooting that the Darkness Crystal was going to be on D-Mist, but behind package.
Yeah, that was our big hope over here.
That did cross my mind, but I wasn't going to just go to the package unless I actually had to as a last resort. So yeah, that wasn't. It was unlikely. that would have really been. It would have been interesting, but it was really unlikely.
One thing I do want to point out is the shops were S3, which means those Artemis arrows were for sale. Did you ever consider going to buy those instead of trying to use the Ogre Axis?
No. Actually, no. There was plenty of samurai bows and elven bows, but no, it didn't. I was trying to keep my shop, my weapon and armor shops to a minimum. In hindsight, I should have checked them a little bit more for those Artemis arrows, but also for a cursed ring. A cursed ring would have made that so much easier all the way through.
Oh, certainly. And like I said, incredible play, and it's always a pleasure to watch you race because you are an amazing racer and a really cool guy. So GG, well played tonight. Any thoughts on the seed, or are we going to see you running again on Friday?
The only real ill thought I have on the seed is really just get into my mind that this isn't typical. So, Sid's got his limitations for a reason. Be aware of them, use them to your advantage wherever you can. Pretty much that. Other than that, know the strengths, yeah. Yes, I will be on Friday. I'm not too sure if I'm actually going to race Ace or not. I'm likely going to. I usually do. But this set of flags it's a difficult one to gauge. Just to say what is best.
Don't worry, I made my opinion on these flags known because Cid percent is just... it's painful.
It's not painful, it's just... you know what you're doing, and you're just hitting things with a weapon, be it a bow, an axe, or a hammer. There's very little divergence in the flags, and if you can't hit it with a hammer, and if you can't hit it, you're a little bit stuck.
Very, very true. Once again, GG, well played. Thank you so much for letting us restream you and watch you run tonight.
Yeah, have a good evening, everyone.
You too. And as always, that was Poidrak. Make sure you give him a follow. A really incredible runner, really fun to watch and hang out with. All of our runners, make sure you're giving them a follow. They're putting themselves out there for our entertainment, and it's really appreciated for them to do it. Before we wrap up, once again, just a shout out to our restreamer Invenerable who rolled this. I guess we'll just call it the rabbit hole seed. And then, of course, our tracker Gambit, who, made sure we knew when we missed something that our runners found. So great help out there. And Rexrawl, you have any final thoughts?
Just that it was a really fun seed to watch. Always like to see some of these kind of quote-unquote minor characters get their day in the spotlight. And so today Cid showed what he's capable of and what he isn't capable of. And so that was kind of really fun to see. I also want to thank you, Valvolus Skunk. Always a pleasure to work with you on these restreams. So good that we were able to hook up once again. We're going to send everybody on over to the RPG Valkyries channel. They're doing their speedrun Ragnarok. It's a marathon over there. And so go ahead and root everybody on over there. And I want to thank everybody for watching tonight.
Yep, tune into the Valkyries, a lot of familiar faces, and we will see y'all again on Friday.